Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. We're going to talk about Raw from February 21st, 2022. It was a fairly good episode of Raw. The stories were lacking. For instance, there was not a running story throughout the show, which was real unfortunate. There was a lot of tag team matches, also a lot of rematches, but there was also a lot of WrestleMania build, and since that's the important thing, I'm okay with that. There's also a lot of teasing in a lot of these segments. So this is all a very interesting show. There was no Cody. But Cody was teased. So let's talk about the show. Let's start at the beginning with Brock. So Brock Lesnar is there and he's having fun again. Wrestling is fun again, guys. Brock tries to coax this young fan, a young kid, into touching the belt. The kid is scared to touch the belt. Then Brock grabs the kid's hand and puts the kid's hand on the belt and then gives him a high five. It's like the kid was scared of Brock. You would think 20 years of throwing people all over the place, wiping blood all over you, punching and elbowing people in the head, chasing grown men up cages, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the child is scared. The child is concerned about putting his hand on Brock Lesnar's property. He's very concerned. So, Babyface Brock continues to soak up adulation, and I love Babyface Brock. He's got so much energy now. Like, it seems like he woke up one day in a much better mood, and now all of a sudden he's going out, he's smiling, he's, egging the fans into chanting Suplex City. He's just going on and on. This was so different. He's been so different this last month. It's almost like a different person is inhabiting his body. He's like a puppet now. It's like that cannot be Brock Lesnar. That can't be the same person it was 2 or 3 years ago. It can't be. I don't know what happened. I don't know what Vince did. Maybe he moved the zeros on the check or something like that. Now Brock is in a better space. Maybe it was all that time off due to the pandemic. I don't know what it was. But he is in such better spirits now. Anyway, Paul Heyman came out there to interrupt him. And it says that Roman is the only real champion of WWE and that Brock will not make it to WrestleMania title for title because he has a one more title defense on March the 5th in Madison Square Garden. Now, that being said, I put a pin in that statement because it was teased on the internet. I don't know if it was made official. It was not made official. That Saturday night's main event is supposed to be coming back. It was talked about. I saw it on the internet. I saw the poster art and everything. I don't know if it was fan made. I don't know, but I saw a lot of wrestling journalists talking about this. That Saturday night's main event will be returning. If that is the case, we're probably going to start doing retrospectives because I want to watch all the Saturday night main events in preparation for the return of Saturday night's main event. And I have some ideas for that too, but we'll get there. Ultimately, Bobby Lashley is supposed to be the opponent at the Saturday night Madison Square Garden show. But Lashley won't be there, as we know. But on TV, they're saying he might not pass concussion protocols. And if he doesn't, then Paul is going to make sure that he gets a suitable opponent. Then Brock says that he appreciates Paul despite Paul being a dick. Then said that he will be on SmackDown to introduce himself as the WWE champion. There was a cute little thing there where Brock says, "Thank you, Paul, for telling me where I'm supposed to be, even though I know where I'm supposed to be." And then he says that I know where you are, where you're supposed to be. And he says where SmackDown is, and he says, "Guess where I'm going to be?" And Paul's like, "Saskatchewan." And you're like, wrong. And so that's what he said. He's coming to SmackDown. So I'm loving the Brock versus Paul stuff. This is really good. Brock sounds actually very confident on the microphone too. Maybe they had him do Toastmasters or something like that. Maybe he did something that got his. It's just so strange seeing Brock so excited about stuff. But this is fun. This is fun. Brock is fun. He's not. Now, the Saturday night show, I hope it's a Saturday night's main event. Why would they mention it on TV if it's not going to air? That would be the thing that I would consider. Like, why would they mention it on television if it's not going to air? That being said, Saturday night, the 5th, is in like 2 weeks. So, okay. if Bobby Lashley needs surgery, he won't be the opponent. So the question is, who will the opponent be? And it's a good question. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions on that. It's got to be somebody Brock can beat. And it's got to be somebody worthy, but it has to be somebody Brock can beat. Maybe it'll be Austin Theory, who wasn't on this show, rightfully so. He got thrown off the top of a cell. He shouldn't be on this show. And I'm thinking that's probably what it would be. It'll probably be Austin Theory. So this is going to be fine. You know, I like this. Brock is fun. His banter with Paul is fun. You know, it's a new position for everybody. You know, that's what long running episodic television is all about. Like soap operas. Like soap operas, you'll have some of the same characters on the show for 10, 15 years, but you put them in different places over and over again. They interact with different people. And that's the one thing WWE seems to do, is they create a sense of permanence. If you stay around long enough, people start to really link up all the different people that you have interacted with and all the matches that you've had and everything. And that builds over time. And so everybody knows all of this time that Brock and Paul have spent together and what that means. And now seeing them on opposite sides again, not for the first time, but again, is creating different dynamics, because this is a different generation of kids, you know, different generation of people. And this generation has never seen Brock and Paul go head up. You know, they may have seen Paul turn coat on CM Punk, maybe, but they haven't seen Brock and Paul at each other's throats like this. They haven't seen that. So very interesting and crazy how their storyline has been around so long. All right. So the next segment was Rollins and Owens, the Irish guy. He was wondering about their WrestleMania future. They're top level performers with no WrestleMania plans. Kevin Owens said they're the best tag team on Raw, and once they beat RK Bro, they will be in the tag team championship match. Then suggest once they win the tag team titles, they will challenge the Usos and title for title, because the company seems to like the idea of title for title, and Seth Rollins is making fun of the whole title for title thing. And then Kevin Owens says that then they're going to go on to WrestleMania, which is taking place in a hellhole like Dallas, Texas. All right, so this leads us to the main event, because they didn't do anything else that leads to this. RK Bro versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. This match was pretty good, as all the matches on the show were. All the matches on the show were pretty good, to be quite honest. The stipulation, of course, was if Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins win, then they will add it to the tag team championship match in 2 weeks, and they will have to wrestle Alpha Academy. It will be a triple threat match. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens actually won the match, which, you know, was a surprise. But they still teased some dissension in the ranks. Seth Rollins escaped the hang-in DDT and didn't help Kevin Owens escape. He just instead let Kevin Owens get DDT'd. So it was like they won kind of in spite themselves. You know, Rollins is still kind of being selfish and doing his own thing. It's kind of weird. I'm wondering what they're doing here, because there was no RK Bro shenanigans on this episode. There was no Riddle promo about, you know, eating wheat cookies, or, you know, his Aunt Velma living in the clouds or some crazy stuff like that. This was nothing. Actually, we didn't even see these guys until the main event. So this was a very weird show, but they had a lot to get through. So, that triple threat tag team match, I'm guessing, Alpha Academy will win the match, and will likely lead to the dissension of one of those two teams. Either Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins are going to fall apart, or RK Bro is going to fall apart. I don't see both of them making it. So that ought to be interesting. See what's going on there. Speaking of Alpha Academy, they defeated the Street Profits in the first match on the show, because Montez Ford actually lifted Otis. And it seems like Gable missed his spot, because as Montez Ford lifted Otis, he was walking towards the ropes, and then he just fell back. I'm guessing Gable was supposed to pull his leg and make him fall, and he missed the spot, and so he ended up just holding his foot down, you know, in the old hold down the leg spot, and the Alpha Academy win. This was a really fun match. The Street Profits are great. I love them. It's just once they were the tag team champions one time for a long time, it's like, okay, they kind of moved on from them. Now they're mostly pitch guys and commercial guys. They come out there, they have popcorn matches, and that's about it. But Dawkins did a dive in this match, and it was kind of buried by them going to commercial immediately. But he did like a dive over the top rope, and I was like, what? Tremendous. Now, gotta bust his chops because he did hit Montez Ford, and I hate when that guys jump into the pile, and the pile includes their tag team partner. It's like, okay, I know somebody has decided, it's safer to fall on 3 people than to fall on 2, but you can't do that. You can't just have guys falling all over their partners. That makes no sense. It's stupid. All right, but having Montez Ford nearly body slam Otis was pretty fun. All right, this leads to Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa was asked if he has any pressure wrestling on Raw, and Tommaso Ciampa explains that nope, he doesn't have any pressure at all because it's a tag team match, and his tag team partner is going to be Finn Balor, and Finn Balor is back, baby. And Balor said that he'll never forget NXT, which is his home, but Raw is where he is now, and he remembers facing Tommaso Ciampa. And he's willing to put their differences aside to stand shoulder to shoulder. This leads us to Tommaso Ciampa and Finn Balor versus the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Every man in this match, with the exception of Dolph Ziggler, has been NXT champion. How this was not told to the audience is just bad commentary. Not mentioning that Robert Roode was an important part of NXT as well. It's just bad commentary. It's just bad storytelling. Robert Roode not coming down to NXT to hang out with Dolph Ziggler. Again, bad storytelling. If anything else, I would have just had Robert Roode be the voice of the black and gold fan base and have him come down to NXT and talk about how terrible it is now, how awful it is, how stupid the kids are, how stupid the show is. And, when I was the NXT champion, we wouldn't have had garbage like Wendy Chu. Like, there's just so much fun stuff that you can do, when you have guys like a Robert Roode on the roster who's been there for a long time. There's just so much fun shit you can do. They just choose not to do it. It's silly. Like, Robert Roode not being involved with this is silly to me, especially since he's such an NXT staple. Like, he made his WWE debut in NXT. Why wouldn't he be involved with that? In any event, Tommaso Ciampa and Finn Balor win. Ciampa wins with a sunset flip, and which was very, very weird. Ciampa did not look as tiny as I expected him to in a WWE ring. He just looked very short. He was shorter than Dolph Ziggler, which didn't do him any favors, but he didn't look that small. Maybe it's because Dolph is not that big, and also Finn Balor is also not that big. So maybe if he was in the ring with like Damien Priest or something like that, it'd be different, or Randy Orton. But when he was in there with Dolph, he didn't look that much smaller than Dolph. Very interested in have him win with his finish. Either they had him win with a sunset flip. Also, Dolph Ziggler was wrestling in long pants with tassels. He had the Diesel gear, and I just thought that was worth talking about because I just looked at that and I just shook my head. I was like, "How is? Why would you do that? Long pants on Dolph Ziggler is very weird." Oh shit, my notes flew away. I don't need them right now anyway, so don't worry about it. So the Miz TV, everybody thought that he was about to introduce Cody because he actually used, when he was using all of these words to describe his tag team partner, he used the word dashing, and everybody was like, "Oh, dashing? That's Cody Rhodes. He's talking about Cody Rhodes." And I was like, all right, it's clearly not going to be Cody Rhodes. Unfortunately, the internet kind of spoiled this over the weekend, so everybody knew who it was going to be. But the Miz did a great job, of course, of telling the story. And it's a similar story to the story Chris Jericho told with Shawn Michaels, where the Miz says, "Hey, you guys," but it was a nice little twist he put on it. He talked about himself, his wife, his family, his millions of dollars, his celebrity. These are things that you people will never have. And so because you think that they're unattainable, and they are, you want heroes that you can relate to, people like people like Rey Mysterio. Then he says that Ray hides his face in shame, and but Ray is no different than me. Ray is everything that you hate about me. Ray interrupted, of course, to drop the bomb that says that nobody in the back likes you. So I don't know who you got, whoever this outsider is that you brought in. Tell them to go back where they came from, because nobody likes you enough to team up with you. This, of course, led to, over the internet, a lot of talk about John Morrison being brought back, even though he had already wrestled in AAA over the weekend. It's like, I could see him coming back, but I don't think he would. Why would he? So soon, by the way. Like, let some water get under that bridge first. But there was a lot of people talking about who could be Miz's partner. There was a lot of whispers about it. And it ended up being Logan Paul. So now this was very interesting to me because I liked the Dominic Mysterio angle, right? There was a Dominic Mysterio angle where Miz says that, he doesn't think Dominic deserves a WWE contract, which is something that a lot of people have said. And people have been saying for like the last 2 years. Dom explained that he watched the WWE as a kid and that his dad brought him to the show. He's been watching since he was 8 years old. And his dad may have brought him here, but he did, all of the hard work, and he would do everything it takes to stay. And if Miz keeps running his choppers, he's going to do something bad to him. And Miz like, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to double team me again? You're going to jump me again? And then he introduced Logan Paul. So then Logan Paul comes out there to a chorus of boos because everybody hates this kid. I mean, he's one of these kids that seem to be famous for the sake of being famous. I don't know what he's famous for. I just don't know. I don't know what him and his brother are even famous for, and I can't tell them apart, if we're being honest. He's a big, strapping young lad, that's for sure. He's not a toothpick. He laughs at Rey Mysterio and tells Rey that he has pool toys bigger than him. Things get physical quickly. They beat up on the Mysterios, and Logan Paul does probably one of the stiffest looking skull crushing finales on Rey. Oh boy. You won't have to work on that one. He hasn't had him in basically on a full Nelson. I think it might have been on Dominic actually, but it was whichever one it was. He had him cinched up pretty tight. He got to loosen up a little bit, brother. So a lot of people are upset about the Logan Paul thing. I'm not. It's WrestleMania and it's WWE. They're doing celebrities. The interesting thing is they're doing heel celebrities. Now that's not something they do all the time. Them bringing in heel celebrities, like remember they thought Floyd Mayweather was going to be a babyface. Remember that, right? They brought in Floyd to position him as a babyface, and then in the middle of the feud they found out, oh yeah, everybody hates Floyd Mayweather. You're like, hey, everybody likes this guy, right? Like people are going to boo this guy. But here they just started off smart. Brought the celebrity in to as the heel to team up with the Miz. It's great heat for the Miz. I don't know what Logan Paul is famous for, and some people are probably not going to know what the Miz is famous for. But it's all drama, celebrity shit. Not exactly what I would do with Rey Mysterio, but it's a celebrity match. It's something that's going to get a lot of people involved who don't normally watch wrestling, who will be like, okay, my question would be, what's the check looking like for Logan Paul? Let's get some estimations in the comment section. What do you think they're paying Logan Paul? Do you think it's $2 million? You think it's $3 million? You think it's more than $3 million? For a one match? What do you think it is in the comment section below? I don't know if they're paying him $3 million. Maybe 1.5, maybe 1.5 for one match. Also, I haven't heard anything about him training or who's going to train him to do this. One thing WWE does do well is they make sure that their celebrities at least have some idea of what they're doing when they get in the ring. I don't expect this match to be very long either. But I wonder who's going to train him, because whoever trained Bad Bunny did a great job, So somebody needs to get in there, and he seems to have some type of athletic background, this Logan Paul kid. So maybe he can get through one match, and if not, We'll just use his personality, use his charisma, his voice, and everything to get heat, and he can just take bumps, and that'd be it. Teach him how to bump, and you take a clothesline over the top rope and take a nap or something like that. Do something silly with him, like powerbomb him through a table, and that's kind of it. But I do have a slight issue with 2 celebrity matches on the show. If Logan Paul was like going to be in the Miz's corner, that'd have been fine. But doing 2 celebrity matches, and wait, this kid at WrestleMania last year? Yeah, I think this kid was that Jake Paul? Which one of them was it? That was WrestleMania last year, and he got stunned by Kevin Owens. I don't remember. It was in the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens storyline, that's for sure. But I don't remember which one of the kids it was. But in any event, I'm interested in his training and everything. I'm sure we'll hear more about it as time goes on. All right. I forgot to talk about the Alpha Academy promo, which was fun. But the funniest thing about it was when Chad Gable said, "Look at Otis's face. He hates math." And him saying that Gamecocks. He's like, "What is it, a chicken?" And Otis is like, "Chicken?" Otis only responds to food. That's it. When it's food, he responds. But other than that, he got no response for anything. All right, Rhea Ripley defeated Nikki Ash again for like the 6th time in a fucking row. Excuse my language. Nikki was screaming around how Rhea is a bully and she's the real villain in all of this. Who cares? I mean, really, who cares, really? Nobody cares. Certainly nobody cares because, for starters, Nikki has not even gotten close to beating Rhea at any point. Rhea Ripley's lost in the shuffle. She's a hamster on a wheel. We'll talk about that a little bit later near the end. All right, Damien Priest defeated Shelton Benjamin. I was actually looking forward to this match. I thought it was going to be a little bit more to it. This is a fresh match that I didn't expect to see, so I was really glad to see this. I loved all of this. After Damien Priest won the match, with Cedric Alexander was out there to give Shelton Benjamin a little bit of help. Despite the fact that Shelton and Cedric were cheating, Damien Priest gave Shelton Benjamin props and says that, he gave him credit for coming out there and fighting him. And it says that he beat a laundry list of world champions and serious contenders and serious athletes. And now it's WrestleMania season. He wants to continue that trend. He wants more serious athletes. He wants more world title and world championship caliber opponents. Then he says it's an open challenge for the United States title. I thought they meant at WrestleMania. Apparently, no, they just meant for next week. And then Finn Balor accepted the challenge. And I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Right decision. Right decision. They are increasing Damien Priest's opponents. I like this. Finn Balor versus Damien Priest next week. I'm guessing because there is no WrestleMania opponent for Damien Priest yet. I don't know who you would put in a match against Damien Priest at WrestleMania that would classify himself as a world championship contender that would still kind of fit and be free for a match at WrestleMania, like for the United States title. I don't know who that would be. So I'm guessing, just a minor guess, that Finn Balor is actually going to win the title. And they're going to feud going into WrestleMania with Priest chasing Balor for the title into WrestleMania. I'm guessing that's what it's going to be. That's just an estimation. It's very possible Finn Balor could just lose, and that's it. But I don't see that. Because I don't see Finn Balor doing anything else for WrestleMania, which is unfortunate. But we'll talk about a little bit about that later too. All right, so the 24/7 title situation, which actually got an in-ring promo segment, which I didn't feel it needed. But Reggie called out Dana Brooke and said he had something to say. Talked about supporting her, being a good friend, and last week he lost sight of what was important and apologized to her for rolling her up in the middle of the restaurant. Real simp behavior. Horrible, dusty simp behavior. And say that he wanted to show her what really is important. And he lays down in the middle of the ring. She gets a 2 count, he kicks out, and the crowd starts to laugh, and I laugh too. Because it seemed like he was trying to embarrass her. And he lay down again. He kicked out again. And now Dana Brooke is getting frustrated. And he promises that he's not going to get up the third time. And then as he lays down, she kisses him 1, 2, 3. She wins the title back. What Corey Graves called it a Greco-Roman lip lock. The 24/7 crew, R-Truth, comes down there. He actually gets drop kicked. It's like the first physical bump R-Truth has taken in I don't know how many months. And he rolled outside the ring. Akira Tozawa was knocked off the ring apron. He gets caught by Tamina, and the camera zooms in on Tamina and Akira Tozawa as they look at each other lovingly in the eyes. Tozawa puts out his lips. He starts pursing his lips up and then gets dropped by Tamina, of course. It was all silly and a waste of time, but I guess it was kind of just a little bit of a break that was kind of needed. It was just a filler segment. It was a very odd segment to build a storyline in the 24/7 division. Very weird. You could have done that in a backstage thing. All right, so Bianca Belair came out there, and Bianca Belair, and she's going to cut this promo. Bianca Belair cuts this promo about being the toughest and working nonstop for the moment of main event in WrestleMania all over again. But of course, she gave credit to all the other women for showing up and showing out in Saudi Arabia. Becky Lynch came out there, and they kind of did a little bit of bantering, where Becky says, "You only main evented because I did it first." Bianca Belair says, "You may have done it first, but I did it better." Then Becky Lynch said, "No, how can you say that? When I walked out Becky 2 belts, I won 2 belts when I made it in WrestleMania." Then said that she's had the Raw Women's title for 3 years and the SmackDown Women's title. Well, she gave that one up, but it's the 6-month anniversary since Bianca Belair lost the SmackDown Women's title in 26 seconds, and Bianca Belair started talking about how, hey, you were right. That is what happened. You told me to go to the back of the line. He says, I spent all this time since SummerSlam building myself back up at Survivor Series. I was the sole survivor. I beat everybody in front of me. Nearly won the Royal Rumble, won the Elimination Chamber. Now we back here. And Becky Lynch started saying, well, I'm the victim in all of this. Because before you came along, these people loved me. I was a man of the people. I was the man of the people. The man of the people. And it says, because they despise me, I despise you. This is not your redemption story. This is my redemption story. Becky Lynch would continue this tirade on the commentary team during Bianca Belair's match with Doudrop, where she says that Bianca Belair turned the people against her. Corey Graves, or was it Byron Saxton, one or the other, talked about Becky Lynch's penchant for cheating now. And this is why I'm actually starting to warm up to Becky Lynch. Because she says, she's been unbeaten, she's been unbeatable. She's earned the right to grab a rope or two. She says it's her opponent's fault for not being ready for it, and for not stopping it, and for not doing it first. So she's actually warming. She's getting over on me with this big time Bex thing. She's not denying that it occurred. She's just saying she's entitled to be able to cheat if she can. Who cares? To back up for a bit, she did say that she destroyed Lita, who she loves. But what does she think she's going to do to Bianca Belair, who she hates or despises? Because they can't use the word hate. I'm pretty sure they probably get told to avoid that word. Bianca Belair once again lifts Doudrop in the KOD with a little bit of help from the second rope. Spectacular stuff, made people stand up again. I don't think people ever get stopped popping for it. But it's the second or third time she's actually done it. Doudrop once again got, some pretty solid offense in. She didn't just get beat like a jobber. She went in there and was competitive. She was really good. I think WWE actually likes Doudrop. I do. Because they haven't been, outside of her initial babyface run where she was, looking kind of stupid against Eva Marie and all that kind of stuff. She was beating her in 2 minutes and stuff like that. Since they turned Doudrop heel, they've been giving her some time. So they've been investing in Doudrop. Also, interesting thing. Dewdrop looked so much better in her cat suit. You know, whoever told her to go back to her regular gear, nah, put her back in the cat suit, man. I think the cat suit works. I think the cat suit look, it works for Bianca Belair, it works for Dewdrop, it worked for everybody. Essentially, it worked really good for Rhea Ripley. She looked amazing in the cat suit. I get they don't want to wear it every week, but the cat suit really, helped Dewdrop, I think. So I think they should go back to the cat suit for Dewdrop. I don't know. You tell me. All right, so the last thing is Edge. Edge gets in the ring, cuts a phenomenal promo about the smell of WrestleMania in the air, and breaks down his personal history of WrestleMania. From listening to it on the radio, WrestleMania 3, listening to it on his uncle's radio. WrestleMania 14 was the first WrestleMania he was invited to as a talent, even though he didn't work. Says that his first match was at WrestleMania 16, which was in 2000. And then he said he broke down every year he tried to outdo himself and different things that he had to go throughout the years, up to his retirement. And then he came back and main evented WrestleMania again, and says that he still dreams of WrestleMania and that he needs it and it needs him. And then he says that he's going to have an open challenge and he wants to be phenomenal. He wants to be undeniable and he can make you live forever. So who's going to step up to challenge Edge at WrestleMania? So many different teases that was dumped in here. Obviously, Undeniable is a tease to Cody. Phenomenal, obviously, for AJ Styles. And Live Forever was obviously Damien Priest. Now, Edge has done backstage segments with both AJ Styles and Damien Priest. It is entirely possible that one of those guys picks up the challenge. And I wouldn't be mad at Damien Priest versus Edge. Wouldn't be mad at all. And would actually love the idea of of Edge versus Cody. That would be perfectly fine. Problem is, I don't see how we can make that work outside of just the open challenge thing. Like, they don't really have much of a way of a storyline between each other. Like, I don't remember Cody and Edge really interacting that much during Cody's first run. So AJ Styles is obviously the favorite to run away with this thing. And they didn't do the face-to-face right now. They just dropping it out there. And they're going to let the dirt sheets do their thing. As the dirt sheets are probably going to say, oh, yes, it's Mr. T. Mr. T is going to come in and wrestle Edge because, a bunch of celebrities and everything. But I think that this obviously is going to be AJ Styles. They both pretty much want that to be the match. The issue I'm going to have with this is it's cool to have it as a special challenge, and I like the idea of special challenges at WrestleMania. Going back to but I want them to put some heat on it. Some heat. I don't know what. I think probably really good heat would be for AJ Styles to come out there, cut the promo about why he should be the opponent, but Edge declines for whatever reason. Maybe we come up with some reason that Edge declines the challenge, and Styles, just says like, hey, since I've been here, I feel like I've, become a legend. I feel like I was a legend before I came here, but you guys don't count anything that happened before I came here. But since I've been here, I've done all of these things. I beat up John Cena and you couldn't do that. I main evented WrestleMania with The Undertaker, just like you did. What makes you think you're better than me? I'm phenomenal. Who the hell are you? And then we kind of slowly but surely maybe turn AJ Styles heel a little bit. But I think maybe people like him so much that it's going to be hard to do. But I think you have to turn somebody heel or the crowd going to do it. You have to make a decision or the crowd's going to make a decision. And plus I don't think babyface versus babyface works. I think somebody needs to come out there and be the heel. And I would choose Styles to be the heel in this situation. And I think we go with it. I think we go with that. It's got to be AJ Styles, by the way. It doesn't fit for Cody. I don't know if Cody is on that level that we can have him wrestling Edge yet. But and plus I want Cody needs to be reintroduced to the audience who hasn't been paying attention to since he's been gone for 6 years. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to come and be like, okay, who's this guy? You know, he's going to talk about Dusty Rhodes, but Dusty Rhodes been dead for how many years? And yeah, they know the Dusty Classic and NXT and everything, maybe. But you have to take into account Cody's been gone almost 10 years. He's been gone 6. So we need to, you know, that's why I think that the Randy Orton feud is the best to reintroduce Cody. Because we can talk about essentially Cody's entire career from right there. How Randy Orton took him under his wing. You can forget all the hardcore Holly stuff. Who cares about that shit? You know, but you just kayfabe it that, you know, Randy Orton, you know, it made Cody what he is, gave him all these ideas or whatever. I think that's the better story. So that you can remind people through exposition who Cody is and where Cody came from. I think that's a better option than him coming in to wrestle Edge. So I think we got to do AJ Styles versus Edge. I can't wait for that. On Twitter, I did something called Pitchmania, or Pitchmania, where I threw out 10 WrestleMania pitches just off the top of my head when I was bored and I had like about 15 minutes to burn. Maybe I'll do a video on that. But I was just chilling, and I just came up like, there's all these names, all these people who are not doing anything. Like, there's a laundry list of people who are not going to appear at WrestleMania if WrestleMania was to happen this weekend. You know, there'd be a laundry list of people who probably wouldn't even be on the show, who are fairly high caliber names that you could probably stuff in a battle royal. And that would probably what everybody would say is, just put them in the battle royal. That's everybody. I'm just kind of like, no, you can actually create stories, you know? Now, of course, all 10 ideas can never actually occur, you know? So I'm pitching to my Twitter account. If you want to go look at this, hashtag Pitchmania. And you can just look at some of the ideas that threw out there. Maybe I'll do a video on it so I can explain some of my ideas a little bit more. But I'm just throwing stuff into the wind because I was bored. But I actually had Damien Priest open challenge at WrestleMania. I had that something that we could have done, but I had a different person answering it. And I came up with the AJ Styles versus Edge idea, which I just used here. That was my Pitchmania idea, is that you would have, you know, AJ Styles respectfully, you know, say, hey, I would like to face Edge at WrestleMania. Edge, what do you think? And then the crowd would be like, yes, 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 whatever. And then Edge would be like, you know what? Nah, pass. You know, like if it's going to be you, I don't think so. Now that would probably get Edge booed, but then maybe he should explain it. Like, you haven't done enough. You know, I don't think you're on my level yet. And then you kind of have Edge heel on him, and then you have AJ take it to the next level. But maybe by smacking him, you know, or something like that, and then breaking down all the things that he's done. Like, where you were doing this, I was doing this, you know, you were the world heavyweight champion, I was the world heavyweight champion too, but of a different promotion. You know, I wrestled all over the world, you wrestled all over the world, you know, yada, yada, yada. Just giving AJ an opportunity to run down his resume to people who think that he shouldn't be wrestling Edge. And there's probably going to be somebody out there who thinks that he shouldn't. You know, idiots. Mainly because, you know, he just got done doing this tag team thing with Amos. And you kind of have to shake all that stuff off of him, you know. It's too new. It's too fresh. You have to shake all that. And he just lost to Damien Priest. So you got to shake a lot of that stuff off of him in order for him to be a true contender for Edge. You know, having him get pinned by Damien Priest was the shits. It was a terrible idea. You know, him even being involved with Damien Priest was a bad idea. Him losing one-sided matches to Amos was a bad idea. If the plan was for him to wrestle Edge, because now you have to sell people on AJ Styles. You know, it's like, this guy, you've been treating him like you've been washed up for like the last 3 fucking months. You know, we got to remind people who he is. And that's why I kind of, when I had the idea, I felt the idea had to be done that way, to remind people, this is the guy who beat John Cena. This is the guy who beat Bryan Danielson. This is a guy who, you know, beat Jeff Hardy. This is a guy who can beat anybody. He's beaten all of Edge's peers already. He's the guy who competed against Brock Lesnar and nailed Brock Lesnar with his finish. He didn't beat him, but he was competitive with him. You know, this is a guy who can beat anybody. You know, one of the best in the world and has been for 15 goddamn years. And that could be our selling point, is we're officially saying that AJ Styles is a Hall of Fame level performer, and he should be in there tangling with Hall of Fame level talent. And maybe we should change his position from being a weekly Raw guy to being a special attraction. Shit, I don't see why AJ needs to be on TV every week. Do you? I don't. He wasn't on this show, and that was fine. You know, his promos are good enough now that he can take time off and not have to wrestle to get over every week. You know, so I say that, and plus he's getting up there in age anyway. He's working on his last contract, I think he said it was. And this will be a nice little cherry on top of his career. And I think at this point, it doesn't matter whether he wins or loses because he's AJ Styles. And that's what you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to the point where it doesn't matter if he wins or not. You know, just like it doesn't matter if Edge wins or not. It's just a matter of getting him to that level. So I definitely hope it's AJ Styles. And they don't swerve us in trying to be funny or trying to be cute or anything like that. And I also want them to keep whoever is going to be out of the ring. You know, no unnecessary matches, no stupid tag matches, nothing like that. But that'd be fun. But that was Monday Night Raw. The matches were the bulk of the show this week. They did a nice job of storyline and matches. I would have liked for them to build around something. You know, introduce it and then build around it for the entire show. But they didn't. The closest thing they did to it was the Kevin Owens Seth Rollins thing, which, you know, this is the closest thing to a running story that they had throughout the night. But even that was kind of weak in comparison to what they usually do and how things should go when it comes to telling stories throughout the evening. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.